Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551. Excuse me. And I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of, or Nintendo/Gaming video for the week of February 13th and the 19th, where I take a look at a couple of stories and give you my thoughts and my opinion on them. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the Super Bowl, though. I certainly did. Seeing the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams, though. Go Rams. Glad that they won, although that was a very good game to be exact. Really close and all that, though. And the halftime show wasn't that bad at all. It was mostly focused more on like early 90s West Coast hip-hop and rap and all. I'm not a big hip-hop or rap fan, but I didn't think that the halftime show was bad either in any way. And there was some hit and miss with some of the Super Bowl commercials, though. I did like to show off the trailer for Jurassic World Domination. I believe they showed that off. I don't remember that. But the Alexa one from Amazon was pretty funny in a way that makes you question whether you want to get an Alexa or not. But either way, enjoyed the Super Bowl, and of course enjoyed my birthday as well. But anyway, we have 4 stories to cover, including the closure of the Wii U and 3DS Nintendo Eshop, though. One of the directors from the original Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars would like to do a actual sequel as their last game. The NPD results are in for January 2022, and apparently one of the upcoming games, Martha is Dead, is being at least censored on the PlayStation and all. And if you're curious about where I got a lot of these sorts of information, though, links will be in the description of this video. But before we get started, I would like to do the quick My 2 Cent, though. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all. The first one has to do is that the producer who worked on the Earthbound or Mother series would love to see the game get a worldwide release, though. So apparently Nintendo fans aren't the only ones that want to see Mother 3 be released in the West. And honestly, at this point, I really think Nintendo should really release Mother 3, though. I mean, it seems a little bit ridiculous, though, to the fact that there are people who want to play it and so forth. You already released the first Earthbound called Earthbound Beginning. You already released Earthbound on the Nintendo Switch online service as part of the Super Nintendo NES. Let's get Mother 3 into it as well, whether it's released on the Switch Online service or through the eShop or anything like that. I think it's long overdue. Much like I think Disaster Day of Crisis, that Wii U title never saw a release here in the US. That needs to come over as well. We also learned that the CEO of Platinum is saying that any kind of takeover would insist that they still have the freedom to make any kind of games or anything like that. It's very interesting to hear the CEO say this, considering the fact that we've seen here in a lot of talks about acquisitions and all. Again, no word if any studio is going to pick up Platinum or not at this time, but time will ultimately tell if that happens. Right now, Platinum is currently working on Bayonetta 3 and are releasing the demo of the live service Babylon Fall, although from what I've been hearing, the response has not been pretty good for Babylon Fall at this time, though. We also learned that we could hear an announcement that the remaster of GoldenEye could be coming in the next couple of weeks. No word on whether or not if it will be coming to the Nintendo Switch or not, or if it's going to be on, just the Xbox systems or Xbox Game Pass alone, though. It'll be interesting to see how this remaster looks and all, to be exact, though. We also learned that the development team of No Man's Sky, one of the games announced during Nintendo's Direct, is apparently happy that they were able to do the impossible and bring this game over to the Nintendo Switch, though. I'm a little curious to see how this game is going to be, though. How this will run on the Nintendo Switch, and we don't know if this is going to be a native or cloud, or if there's going to be a physical version or not, though. We also learned that Capcom is teasing for a revival next week and have a bit of a countdown, though. No word on what it's going to be. Many people are speculating this could be Street Fighter 6. Others are believing it could be maybe DLC for Resident Evil Village. It's unclear which one it's going to be at this time, though. If I had it my way, I would have liked it to be the rumored Resident Evil game for the Nintendo Switch that was supposedly be or at least Switch focus, that was supposed to be Resident Evil Revelation 3. So we'll see what Capcom has to show, though. We also learned that the update for Cyberpunk 2077 is out for all the system, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and pretty much even PC, Stadia, and so forth, though. So, obviously, CD Projekt Red delivered on that, though. The Series S, though, however, not everyone is happy about it, considering the fact that they raised the resolution, but the frame rate stays at 30 frames per second, although, judging by some of the videos I've seen, it seems to be a stable 30 frames per second, though, although there has been reports that they are looking into bringing the 60 frames per second if that is possible for the Xbox Series S, though. We also learned that Nintendo might be using ARM's sort of this software called Fidelity XX to basically one of their games, the upcoming Nintendo Switch Sports, and although it's very curious to see how this will look on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm also very curious to see, could we see this software tool be used by other developers out there who develop for the Nintendo Switch? Could something like that be being used? For what I understand, it's not the DLSS that NVIDIA has or anything like that, though. We also learned that supposedly Retro Studio has updated their Twitter profile with a new banner showing Samus from the Metroid Prime series. Now, you could look at this in many different ways. So you could look at it as they probably are just simply just updating their Twitter account. It could also mean a sign that we could hear something about Metroid Prime 4. It could be a sign we could hear something about a Metroid Prime remake, though, or it could be the possibility that the Metroid Prime trilogy could be making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. There was rumors a couple of years ago that stated that the Prime trilogy was done for the Nintendo Switch, and Retro was just waiting for Nintendo to give them the go-ahead to bring this game over and all. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And we've also learned that supposedly the Halo TV show, or the Halo series, has been renewed for a second season by Paramount, though, which is pretty interesting considering the show has yet to premiere, though, and many are wondering if Paramount is jumping the gun on this, since we don't know if the first season will be good or not, so we'll have to wait and see on that. We also learned that Paramount is also moving ahead with the Sonic the Hedgehog, a third entry in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and they are probably working on a Knuckles spin-off series for Paramount Plus. Obviously, it sounds as though Paramount seems to be pretty happy with the Sonic the Hedgehog 2. They're thinking that's going to do very well, so they said, let's go ahead and do a Sonic 3. If the spin-off with Knuckles does happen, I'm curious to see what direction they go with that, so I am kind of curious about that one. And in somewhat of a sad news, at least on the entertainment side of it, though, we learned this week that Ivan Reitman has passed away. Most of people remember him from doing movies like Stripes, Meatballs, Animal Party, but for a lot of us, we remember him from directing Ghostbusters 1 and 2, which is considered part of our childhood, though. So my heart goes out to the Reitman families, though. It's really sad to see a iconic director like him pass away, though. So again, Ivan Reitman sadly has passed away, though, this week. And last but not least, though, we had two trailers that were shown that came out, though. One was shown during the Super Bowl, which is the Lord of the Rings of Power, which supposedly takes place before the events of, like, The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings and all. Based on what they showed during the Super Bowl, it looks interesting, but time will ultimately tell if this turns out to be good or not, though. And last and but certainly not least, though, I saw the trailer for Lightyear, the new one from Disney and Pixar, which looks very interesting. It's basically uses Buzz Lightyear, although he's being voiced by Chris Evans, not Tim Allen. And I'm very curious to see how this one does, and if it does well, could we see something similar with, say, like with Buzz Light? I mean, not Buzz Lightyear. Woody. I mean, could we see something similar to the style with a movie based off of Woody in a style similar to what we see with Lightyear and all? So time will ultimately tell if that happens, but we'll have to wait and see to be exact, though. Okay, with the quick My Two Cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story. And this one has to do with the video game Martha is Dead. Now, For those who don't know, though, there are times when some developers will put out games that are very shocking and somewhat surprising at times. Though, I mean, sometimes some developers put games out simply just for the shock value and all. Some people are okay with it, some people are not, and we've seen games that have controversies many times. Postal is one very good example of a game known to be very controversial and all. Some like it, some do not though. Well, recently, one of the games that seemed to have caught attention was the game Martha is Dead. And the reason why this has caught attention has to do with the fact that Sony has decided to basically censor at least certain parts of the game, though, compared to what we're seeing on the Xbox systems and the PC, where it seems that game is not going to be uncensored. Now, there have been several different articles about it, though, but they all seem to come towards a tweet from the developers. Okay, sorry about what happened to the camera, though. I'm still having some issues with it. I'll try to get that fixed. But anyway, I was referring to basically Martha is Dead, and going to be talking about basically a statement that has been released by the developers. And according to the statement from the Twitter post, it reads, quote, Martha is Dead is a narrative adventure recommended for adult audiences only, with players consisting of potential discomforting scenes and themes that may distress some players. Both WIIU Production and LKA have always been open and honest about Martha's Dead content, with the sensitivity depiction in the players' consistent communication to the media since the game was announced in 2019. The content is also flagged clearly and repeatedly within the game itself before being played. It was with regret that we have had to modify the experience on the PS5 and PS4 version, with some elements no longer playable. After 4 years of passion and hard work, developer LKA now requires extra time to make these unplanned changes. Martha's Dead, as a result, will still launch digitally on both the PS5 and PS4 on Thursday, February 24th, 2022, but the physical retail release will be delayed to a yet to be disclosed date, although we anticipate that this is only a small number of weeks. Our physical edition will still contain the bonus content of a double slide poster, digital tarot card, and a Martha's Dead digital EP. We will update with the date we ship the edition as soon as we have information. The PC and Xbox One version of Martha's Dead are both unaffected by these development and will launch with the full unedited gameplay as planned. We look forward to players' experience the work of LKA Thursday, February 24th, 2022. Now, a couple of things I do want to point out before I get to my opinion on this game, though. Some might agree with me on what I'm going to say, some might disagree, though. One, it is worth pointing out that the game is rated M for mature audiences only by the ESRB. They have rated this game, though. It's not an AO rating or anything like that. And number two, though, I do want to say that basically, since Sony can make whatever decision they want to make, though. This is their system, the PS4 and PS5, and if they decided this is the direction they want to go and tell developers you can't put this kind of game on them, that's their call. I won't argue against that in any way. And number three, though some might view this as a political statement, though, I am not here to pull the SJW, feminazis, woke, cancel culture, or any of that kind of crap or anything like that. I believe that card has been played one too many times, and I'm not going to pull that card in any shape, in any form. I think it's ridiculous to those who make those kind of arguments, though. Having said all that, while I agree that this decision while I understand Sony has the right to do this in terms of censoring the game if they want to, that doesn't mean I 100% agree with this decision. I am a firm believer that as long as the game stays within the rating system, if this is the kind of game a developer wants to make, then so be it, though. It may not appeal to everybody, I get that, though, but as long as it stays within the rating system, that's fine, though, and I certainly do not 100% agree with Sony's decision on this. Compared to what Microsoft and Nintendo are doing, which I would say their approach is certainly better than what Sony is doing. I'm not saying their approach is 100% perfect, but I definitely like it better, especially with Nintendo, who has been a bit more open in letting third-party developers get away with the kind of games they want to make, as long as it stays well within the rating system and all that stuff, though. Yes, I mean, I'm aware some of this image might be controversial. It might be disturbing for some folks, though. I get that, though. But for me, if it stays within the rating system, that's the kind of game a developer wants to make. That is fine. I do not agree with Sony's decision on this in any shape, in any form. I think this is the wrong decision for them to make on this, though. I do not believe that Sony should act as the parent or anything like that, though. There are different varieties of video games out there. There are some for younger audiences and some for older audience, though. But the point is video games are not the kids-only product like they were back in the 80s and the early 90s, to be exact, though. So I have to say I don't 100% agree with Sony's decision on this, though. I think it's a dumb decision to begin with, though. So overall, I would say I get the fact that this is Sony. Sony can make this decision if they want to. It's their system. They can choose to go this route if they want to. However, that does not mean I 100% agree with Sony's decision on this. I think it's the wrong decision for Sony to make, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with the NPD. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2% video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the NPDs, particularly January's 2022's NPDs, though the first one for this year, though. And interesting enough, we got several things that have sort of came out of this, though. One is, where does Pokemon Legends Arceus ranks? 2, some games that were released last year have sort of made their way up onto the top 10 charts, or the top 20, those thanks to their PC release. And apparently the Switch, the Switch, while doing well in January, got outsold by the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, with Xbox Series S and X coming in second. In terms of the listing, though, basically what we have here in terms of the top 10 are the following, though. Pokemon Legends Arceus is at number 1, Call of Duty Vanguard at number 2, Monster Hunter Rise at number 3, Madden NFL 22 at number 4, God of War 2018 at number 5, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales at number 6, FIFA 22 at number 7, Mario Kart 8 at number 8, no pun intended, Rainbow Six Extraction at number 9, Battlefield 2042 at number 10, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl at number 11, Far Cry 6 at number 12, Minecraft at number 13, NBA 2K22 at number 14, Mario Party Superstar, Mario Party Superstar at number 15, Animal Crossing New Horizon at number 16, Forza Horizon 5 at number 17, Halo Infinite at number 18, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 19, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at number 20. So pretty impressive to see Pokemon Legends Arceus get the number 1 spot, though. There were some people that were a bit concerned whether that would happen, considering that they're selling only one Pokemon game, not the 2 that they normally did. But it seems to be that one did pretty well so far for January, though. Also, seeing Monster Hunter Rise and God of War 2018, it's kind of interesting to see it back on that list, but at least according to what VentureBeats are saying, some of that could be contribute to the PC release, as those have made it into the top 10. So still very nice to see both God of War 2018 and Monster Hunter Rise making on the top of the list, though, even if it's a PC version. And it's nice to see Pokemon Legends Arceus make it at the number 1 spot. Also, Spider-Man Miles Morales did well, and now they're calling it basically PlayStation's Mario Kart, which Going to be interesting to see if they put a whole bunch of DLCs, if Sony does decide to put a whole bunch of DLCs on that one, though. Anyway, moving on to the top 10 best-selling Nintendo platform games in the US, though. We have Pokemon Legends Arceus at number 1, Mario Kart 8 at number 2, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl at number 3, Mario Party Superstar at number 4, Animal Crossing New Horizon at number 5, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 6, Just Dance 2022 at number 7, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 8, Super Mario 3D World at number 9, and New Super Mario Bros. At number 10. In terms of the PlayStation platform games in the US, the top 10 though, for January, we have Call of Duty Vanguard at number 1, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales at number 2, Madden NFL 22 at number 3, FIFA 22 at number 4, Rainbow Six Extraction at number 5, Ghost of Tsushima at number 6, Marvel Spider-Man at number 7, Battlefield 2042 at number 8, NBA 2K22 at number 9, and Far Cry 6 at number 10. Over on the Xbox platform, we have Call of Duty Vanguard at number 1, Madden NFL 22 at number 2, Far Cry 6 at number 3, Battlefield 2042 at number 4, Halo Infinite at number 5, Forza Horizon 5 at number 6, Rainbow Six Extraction at number 7, NBA 2K22 at number 8, FIFA 22 at number 9, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at number 10. In terms of the hardware, though, they point out that basically January was a big month, though, in terms of the systems and all that. It basically showed that both the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S systems and basically were able to outsell the Nintendo Switch for the month of January, though. They said PS5 was the best-selling hardware platform for January 2022 in both units and dollars. The NPD analyst Matt Batista, sorry if I'm not saying his name correctly, though, basically said that Xbox Series ranked second across both measures. In total of hardware sales were higher for January than any point in the last decade. Though, it said, as always, supply is constraining hardware sales. Sony and Microsoft are selling every PS5 and Xbox they can to make. Even the Switch continues to fly off the shelves, and it's likely that these new, more expensive consoles will be breaking records if manufacturers could keep up with the demand. So, obviously, Series X and the Series systems for Xbox and the PS5 are doing well in terms of it, and they were able to outdo the Switch, but still, supply and demand is sort of still a situation, though. The interesting thing that we take away from this is the fact that basically Pokemon Arceus did very well at number 1, which is pretty neat, though, and the fact that we're seeing some of the PC ports like Monster Hunter Rise and God of War 2018 do very well in this chart, though, and it does make you kind of wonder, at least on Sony's side, could Sony be more open to bringing more games of their games over to the PC? Like, we know they brought Horizon Zero Dawn, but could they bring over Horizon Forbidden West or the Marvel Spider-Man games over? So it will be really interesting to see if that does happen over time, though. But overall, the takeaway from this is Pokemon Arceus became number 1. Some of the PC ports, such as God of War 2018 and Monster Hunter Rise, made it onto the charts, which is definitely impressive, and it will be interesting to see if we see Sony decide to bring more of the games over to PC, and the fact that the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S were able to outsell the Nintendo Switch for the month of January, though. February will be kind of interesting to see where that goes, especially with the upcoming release of Horizon Forbidden West, and whether or not that will rake into the top 10 or top 20 charts, though. I think it will get high on the charts, though, but we'll have to wait and see until February's 2022's NPD. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with the former director of Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Stars would like to actually do a sequel to that game. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I want to be taking a look at Mario RPG, particularly a comment made by one of the directors who worked on the Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars that was released back on the Super Nintendo back in 1996, though. Now, when it comes to Mario RPG, most people can think of two different types, though. The Paper Mario series that saw the latest entry, Paper Mario the Origami King, and of course the Mario and Luigi RPG games that were released on the Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo 3DS, though. But there was one RPG that I think for most or even older Nintendo fans may remember is the game Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Stars. This was a game that was done with which was a collaboration between Nintendo and Square Enix, though. But since then, we've never really gotten a sequel to that game. I mean, yes, we've gotten Paper Mario series and the Mario Luigi RPG games, which are good, but don't really hold candle in the same way as Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars it does. But recently, one of the original directors who worked on that game, though, has recently have come out and said that he would be actually open to doing a actual sequel to that game, the Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars. In an article published on Nintendo Everything, it reads that, quote, Chino Fudikara, apologize if I'm not saying his name correctly though, the director of Super Mario RPGs has expressed interest in making Super Mario RPG 2 that will close out his career. He has worked on many different titles going back to the early 80s. That includes several entries in the Mario and Luigi at Alpha Dreams, a studio which he co-founded, though he left in 2015 and it closed in 2019 after filing for bankruptcy. As for the interest in developing Super Mario RPG, he made a comment coming out when asked about the subject in an interview with Minimax. He shared the following with the outlet. He said, quote, "Yes, I would absolutely love to make one. In my career, I've been involved with a lot of games, and I really would like my final one to be another Mario RPG game if possible. I think Mario Luigi is cool, but I would like to go back and create a Mario RPG where you only control Mario." He was also asked if he had any story ideas in mind of a new Mario RPG. He wouldn't share any specific, only stating this is a secret. Now, I would like to say, though, that in terms of only controlling Mario, though, I don't 100% agree with that, because I don't like the approach Nintendo made when it was just focusing on just Mario and putting Luigi on the wayside. We saw this with Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. We saw this with Mario RPG and Super Mario 64, though. Not a huge fan of that approach, though, to be exact. So this is probably one area where I wouldn't be entirely against him doing this, but I don't agree with this approach, though. But putting that part aside, though, I definitely would be down with a actual sequel to Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Star. I think that was a very fun RPG when that came out back in 1996. It was actually probably the first time I ever played an RPG before, though, and I think a lot of us would love to have seen a sequel happen, though. If say a sequel were to happen, to be exact, though, I mean, they could team up with Square Enix again, and maybe they could get like the developers who did, like, say, I Am Susumu, or maybe the developers who did the Octopath Traveler series, which are now doing Triangle Strategy, or even the folks who did the Bravely Default game, though. Why not hire them to help create basically the actual sequel to Super Mario RPG 2? So there are a lot of ways Nintendo can go with this if they were to ever do an actual sequel to Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars. That I would love to see the return of folks like Milo, Booster, Geno, if I'm saying his name correctly, maybe the revival of Smithy and his gang or something like that, or a brand new enemy, though. So I definitely would be down with that, though. Don't get me wrong, I like the Paper Mario series. I like the Mario and Luigi RPG games that Alpha Dream did that unfortunately they closed down. I wouldn't mind seeing those games ported over to the Nintendo Switch, or a brand new entry onto the Nintendo Switch. That would be great if that ever happens, though. But a true sequel to Super Mario RPG Legends of 7 Stars would be brilliant, and I think it would be a great way for him to end his career like that on a high note if they were to ever produce a actual sequel to Super Mario RPG. So overall, my takeaway from this is that I definitely would be down with the idea of a actual sequel to Super Mario RPG Legends of the 7 Stars for the Nintendo Switch. Whether that happens or not, that remains to be seen, though. But I wouldn't mind seeing him working with Nintendo and possibly Square Enix on doing an actual sequel to Super Mario RPG's Legends of the 7 Stars. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with Nintendo shutting down the Wii U and 3DS Nintendo eShop. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I want to be talking about the Nintendo eShop, particularly the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS eShop, though. Now, when it comes to digital purchases and all that stuff, there's always been certain ups and downs to it, to be exact, though. Some of the issues ranging from, the ideas of ranging like a refund, as we've seen some storefronts outside of Valve, which has a refund policy. Not all digital storefronts have that, to the issue of what happens to your games if, say, like that storefront shuts down or anything like that. And it kind of brings up the whole issue of ownership and all that stuff. And last year we saw an attempt by Sony to shut down the storefront on the PS3 and the Vita, though, but was met with backlash to the point that they decided not to close those storefronts down. However, they went forward with closing the storefront to the PSP, though, on the other hand, though. But now recently we've learned that Nintendo has made the decision that they will be closing the storefronts, particularly for the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS. In an article published, if I can get that out, published on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, Nintendo has announced the discontinuation of the 3DS eShop and the Wii U eShop as of late March 2023. While you'll still be able to re-download games and DLCs, and receive software update and play online games beyond this date, the ability to purchase games will no longer be possible, and new content will no longer be released on these digital storefronts. Credit cards can no longer be useful to add funds as of May 23rd, 2022, and Nintendo eShop card funds can no longer be added to the eShop account as of August 29th, 2022. However, download codes can still be redeemed until late March 2023. The rundown that reads that, quote, as of March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in Nintendo's eShop for the Wii U system and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. It will also no longer be possible to download free content, including game demos. Furthermore, as this date draws closer, related service will cease to function. As of May 23rd, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use credit cards to add fundings. Basically, it's a rundown of what I just mentioned and all of that. But they do talk about how you can still basically, games you purchase, you can still re-download them to basically, updates and everything like that. So you could argue there's somewhat of a silver lining, but they also added something to it saying that, quote, we thank you for supporting the Nintendo eShop on the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. While we hope that you will continue to enjoy using these systems, we have taken this opportunity to prepare a website where you can look back at your time with them via various play statics, though. Now, the response to this has not everyone seems to be happy with this response. There have been some folks in Japan who are not happy with this, although there are some may think some of their comments are a little bit overboard or anything like that, although that's open for debate. But one group known as the Video Game History History Foundation has sort of released a statement in regarding this, and here's what they had to say. Quote, "While it's unfortunate that people won't be able to purchase digital 3DS or Wii U games anymore, we understand the business reality that went into this decision. What we don't understand is what path Nintendo expects its fans to take should they wish to play these games in the future. As a paying member of the Entertainment Software Association, Nintendo actively funded lobbying that prevents even libraries from being able to provide legal access to these games. Not providing commercial access is understandable, but preventing institutional work to preserve these titles on top of that is actively destructive to the video game history. We encourage ESA members like Nintendo to rethink their position on the issue and work with existing institutions to find a solution." Now, my position on this is I'm a little mixed on Nintendo's decision on this, though. While I understand why they are shutting down basically these storefronts because, well, their main focus right now is the Nintendo Switch, and given how successful the Nintendo Switch has been, it certainly is very good, though. I do think it does bring up the issue of preservation, not only preservation, but it does bring that up as well in terms of trying to preserve some of these games and how it is hard to find a lot of these games. Like, say, Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3. I mean, if you're lucky, you could find it if a place sells it used or anything for a physical, but digital, unless you have purchased the game through the Nintendo eShop on your Nintendo 3DS, though, you're not going to be able to get that game anymore. I mean, you could re-download it if you already paid for it and basically delete it from your system, but getting access to it is no longer a valid option. And I do think it does bring up the issue of digital presentation and ownership of a lot of these games. And I think this is one of the downside of going a all digital route, to be exact. And I do kind of agree with Phil Spencer's comments that he has made about preserving some of these games, and I do think companies need to do a better job preserving and these type of games indeed. And I do have to side with the Video Game Historians Foundation on this, to be exact, though. So this to me is a very mixed decision. It's understandable what Nintendo's doing, but I'm not fully on board with what they're doing, to be exact, especially when some of these games are hard to find. On top of that, we don't know if these games will make its way over to the Nintendo eShop, to be exact, though. I mean, it's possible Nintendo could put them on the eShop. It's possible they could be taking the approach of, hey, as part of Nintendo's Switch Online service, we're also going to offer you the opportunity to play Game Boy Advance games, or DS games on your Nintendo Switch. So there's a possibility that could be the direction Nintendo is going, though. But nevertheless, it's a very, I will say it is sort of a controversial decision for Nintendo to make. So overall, like I said, I'm very mixed on this, though. I understand Nintendo wants to put a lot of their focus on the Switch now, considering how big of a success that system has come up, though. But at the same time, it does bring up the whole issue of digital purchases, the whole issue of ownership of a lot of these games, and of course, preservation, given the history of a lot of these games may have, though. And shutting them down makes it very difficult to get access to some of these games, indeed, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Sony's decision to basically censored, or at least censor a certain part of Martha, if I'm saying her name correctly, is dead? Do you think Sony is doing the right thing? Do you agree that Sony is within their right to censor the game because it's their system? Or do you think Sony is going a little bit overboard and you feel as though as long as the game stays within the ESRB, then Sony should not censor this game in any shape or in any form? What are your thoughts about January 2022's NPD? Are you surprised to see the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X overtake the Switch, though? Do you think the Switch will bounce back? Are you surprised to see Pokemon Legends Arceus do very well? Do you think, surprised to see Monster Hunter Rise and God of War 2018 on that list because of the PC release? What are your thoughts about the idea of a sequel to Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Stars? Do you think that sequel should happen, though? Or do you don't think that sequel should happen at all? And what are your decisions about Nintendo closing the eShop on the 3DS and the Wii U? Do you think this is the right decision for Nintendo to do, or do you think those shops should stay open? Do you think this brings up the issue about game preservation and ownership of the games in any way? As always, sound off on the comment section below. I mean, if you agree with what I said or disagree with what I said. Like I said, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye.